You are watching Culture Shock, the only show on the internet that knows how to separate an issue of culture from an issue of politics. And you know what? The human body needs water like robots need oil. This is our lubricant. This is our natural mechanism for power and for greasing up our gears and making sure the mechanism works the way it's meant to. So drink your water, folks, but don't drink so much that you have to pee every 15 minutes. Anyway. I am a shining example of the previous statement. Anyway. I don't really have anything, any news to talk about currently that I know of that could be separated in the issue of culture. So I will simply speak on politico-cultural issues. Now, I want to talk about the replacement in Europe. I want to talk about being white. I want to talk about being the only male member of my family that is genetically Dutch-Irish. Because my dad's family is Dutch-German and my mom's family is Irish. So I'm the only one, I am the meeting ground. 3 half-siblings and I'm the only one that is Dutch-Irish. So there you go. I think about it like this. America's had an issue with Europe for a long time. We've never gotten along. But when you think about it, it really is so stupid. Sure, Europe can be very elitist, very full of themselves. I'm not particularly fond of the European gaming community, those assholes in their European Extreme, only playing games of the European Extreme difficulty setting, which is actually fairly rare. I only know of one game under that setting, and that's Metal Gear Solid 3. Special Edition, not Snake Eater. Now, here's the thing. I think about it like this. We're white. The native Europeans are white. Therefore, we're like blood relatives. They're like that weird cousin we don't like because we don't understand them and they act like jerks. Believe me, I have cousins like that, I know. But the way I see it, white Europeans, white Americans were like family. Distant, but family. So we should want to see them do well, which is why this whole invasion of Islam into Europe is just so very sad. Like I watched a video earlier today on the super mosque in Cologne, Germany. I'm just like, really? Super mosque? Wasn't the invasion of one Middle Eastern religion enough? Christianity. Do we really need Islam on top of that? Do we need the moon and star on top of the cross? Can't we all just stop fucking around? Get the white birth rate back up? Which is important because genetic diversity for the species is good for our gene pool. It lowers the risk of negative mutation and inbreeding to have a wider variety of genes available. Therefore, multiple races, or let's call them what they really are, subspecies. The difference between a black person and a white person is essentially the difference between an Arctic wolf and a timber wolf. Same species, but adapted at some point to 2 completely different environments and survival strategies. But I don't see that as a reason why we can't get along, or treat each other with some respect. Because at the end of the day, that just, all that difference really amounts to is just a question of survival. Otherwise, I'd say Africans, whites, Arabs, whatever, are all more or less equally intelligent. provided they come from a decidedly capitalist country, because the statistics on race realism actually bear out that it is not simply because they're of a different race why they're dumber, it's because they come from a communist country why they're dumber. And yet the left wants socialism. That's because the left are dumb. But this slow replacement of white people in Europe, and these Jews over there, by the way, who are racist towards white people. They hate white people because of what the Germans did in World War II, which I can understand that, but is turnabout really fair play in this case? I don't think so. That's not an action that should ever be repeated, regardless of the means, which in this case is just outbreeding and moving in through migration, pretending to be refugees and so forth. I'm sure there are some actual refugees, but their numbers are probably far smaller than they appear. And a lot of them are actually just economic migrants identifying as refugees to get in. Bottom line is, it's just incredibly sad. And I think the big reason why the white birth rate is so low is because of modern feminism. And every generation is going to have a major gulf between men and women. But the gulf between men and women in the millennial generation is the largest we have ever seen. The biggest gap between the sexes that has or ever will be seen, I think. Could it honestly get any bigger, any greater? I doubt it. Aside from like one trying to genocide the other. Which would be insane, because then there'd be no reproduction at all anyway. Although, we're pretty close to that as it is, so who gives a shit? Also, abortions, which I do not support abortions. I am not pro-choice. I'm not pro-life either, because I think that's a dumb name. Because pro-lifers are frequently in favor of war, so they're not really pro-life, are they? But anyway. Just so many different factors of the millennial generation. The complete indoctrination into feminism, the complete indoctrination into abortion. And those racist Jews I mentioned earlier, yeah, they're not helping. They fuel right-wing conspiracy theories about the Jews being behind everything and trying to kill off white people. They help perpetuate that myth. And the sooner that goes away, the better. But I choose to see Europeans, white Europeans, as distant family. I respect and love their culture. I adopt certain aspects of their culture, being white myself, but you can adopt the culture without having to adopt the politics. It's like, I would love to have European culture in my heart, but American politics in my mind, in my head. Specifically, libertarian politics, so I really do believe libertarianism is the best way to go. The two-party system is proof of that, because the two-party system is a mess. It's a nightmare. I have nightmares about a future where like brown people listen to like old recordings of a white person's voice, because each individual race has a distinct sound to their voice to some extent. Just listening to old recordings of white voices, or looking at old pictures and just trying to imagine what we were like before we all went away. And then maybe them bemoaning what they've lost. Because I think it would be very sad that an entire race of people would just be poof. Any of them, black, whatever. It would all be very sad. But it's sadder to me because, well, I'm white. Therefore, it's at least somewhat personal. And that makes it saddest of all to me. Because that just hits a little too close to home. We got to get that birth rate up, and we got to send those immigrants pretending to be refugees home. And as for the actual refugees, we need to create some kind of stable system. And you know what? The reason why there's refugees at all, if there are any, is because of fucking two-party system here in America, the fucking drone strikes and the bombings and shit that caused them in the first place. It's America's fault they exist. And if you look at some people who are on the inside of it, who are in the know, Europe did not do this to themselves. I mean, that's part of it, yes, but that's not all there is to it. The NGOs, the ships that bring the refugees in, yeah, those are ours. Those are American boats. And there are a few conspiracies by hyper-European patriots that say that America is behind it all. And you know what? The thing about conspiracy theories is there's always just a itty-bitty kernel of reality behind it somewhere. There's always a tiny little fraction of reality to it. However big, however small. So they may be correct. I am crying and screaming internally at this world for all these people saying that it's not okay to be white, that racism will disappear when white people disappear. You know, I think we need to create a new word for what's going on. We call it soft genocide, taking advantage of a group of people with a low birth rate to try and replace them. We call it soft genocide. I think that's a perfect descriptor. And it's globalism and leftism that is at the heart of it all. That's the cause. The real racists are on the left. The real racists are on the left. The racists on the right, the true racists that are actually on the right, are just crazy, conspiracy-minded wannabe skinheads, and you can't take them seriously. The truly dangerous racists are on the left. They really are. Cheers.